After months of exhaustion and arguments over nighttime parenting, my wife's breakdown revealed a dark secret about her mental health. We have been married for 6 years. She is a SAHM to our 5 and 1-year-old. I am a surgeon who works 12-hour-plus days from 7 a.m., as the title says, really. I should note that both of our kids are crap sleepers, particularly the second. She feeds him to sleep throughout the night, and he sleeps in our bed. This has happened several times, but I will give an example. Last night we had severe winds, which she has trouble sleeping through. Because she couldn't sleep, she kept waking me up every time I fell asleep. She was getting increasingly angry, but claimed earplugs weren't working, insulting me for sleeping through the storm. When our son woke up, she then handed him to me at around 1 a.m. He absolutely hates being with anyone other than her overnight, so he hysterically cried with me for well over an hour. This all woke up my 5-year-old as well. Even after she took him back, she just continually woke me up every time I fell asleep. I think I got about an hour's sleep last night overall, which obviously is not great in my line of work. This isn't the first time this has happened. She claims I am snoring and repeatedly disrupt her sleep. If she is fed up with my son feeding, she'll just hand him to me to cry, but then take him back after an hour plus, which just reinforces the crying. She has also done this when she's just been up late on her phone watching TikToks. She also refuses to sleep train despite all this. I stay up late with her after the kids are asleep helping around the house. She constantly complains that I never watch the kids and probably relax all day at work. I don't. And don't deserve to sleep so much. I don't. I am not as good a parent as her at all and don't claim to be, but when I'm home I do my best and always take the kids to give her time to herself. It is getting to the point where I am exhausted. She is able to lie in with the kids till 8-9, but I have to wake up at 5:30. I don't know what to do and how to resolve this dangerous situation. I have suggested sleeping in a different room for the snoring, etc., but she said it would be unfair for me to sleep uninterrupted while she is up with the kids. Update 1. It's been a few weeks since I first posted. I've been reading through all your comments, and I appreciate the advice and support. I wanted to take the time to properly update everyone and provide a clearer picture of what's been happening since then. The last few weeks have been nothing short of chaotic, and I'm not sure how much more of this I can take. First, let me address a few things I've seen brought up in the comments. Yes, I completely understand that being a stay-at-home mom, SHM, is a full-time job. It's exhausting, stressful, and all-consuming. I never meant to downplay that in any way. I know my wife is going through a tough time, and I want to be there for her. But at the same time, my job is also incredibly demanding, and I'm literally responsible for people's lives every day. It's a lot to carry, and when I'm not getting enough sleep, it becomes dangerous, not just for me, but for my patients. So after my last post, I tried to sit down with my wife to talk about everything. I wanted to have an honest conversation about how we could both support each other better and come up with a solution for the sleep situation. I approached it as calmly as I could. I acknowledged that she's exhausted and stressed, and I told her that I'm feeling the same way. I even brought up the idea of us working together to create a better system for nighttime duties. But the conversation didn't go how I expected. Right from the start, she was defensive. She told me that I have no idea what it's like to be a mom and that I couldn't possibly understand the level of exhaustion she's feeling. She kept bringing up how I get to escape to work while she's stuck at home with the kids. I tried to explain that my job isn't an escape, it's incredibly stressful, and I can't afford to make mistakes because people's lives are literally in my hands. But she wasn't hearing it. She said that I'm being selfish and that I need to suck it up because I'm the one who signed up for this life. I get it. I really do. She's overwhelmed, and she's lashing out because she feels like she's drowning. But at the same time, I'm struggling too, and it feels like my concerns are being completely dismissed. I brought up the idea of hiring some help, maybe a night nurse or even a part-time nanny to give her some relief. I thought this would be a good compromise. We could both get the help we need without either of us feeling like we're shouldering the entire burden alone. Her response? She accused me of trying to outsource parenting and said that hiring help would mean that we're failing as parents. She said that other moms manage just fine without outside help, so we should too. It turned into a full-blown argument, with her accusing me of not wanting to be involved with the kids and just trying to throw money at the problem. That wasn't my intention at all. I just wanted to find a solution that would give both of us a break. The worst part is that after our conversation, things didn't improve, they got worse. Over the next few nights, the same pattern continued. She'd stay up late watching TikToks, wake me up multiple times throughout the night, and then hand me our son when he started crying. I've tried everything to soothe him, but he only wants her. It's like I'm failing no matter what I do. I don't know if it's because she's always the one to comfort him or if it's just how he is, but it's incredibly frustrating. I feel like I'm being set up to fail every single night. One night I tried to bring up sleep training again. I know it's a sensitive topic, but I genuinely believe that it could help all of us. Our 1-year-old is still waking up multiple times a night, and it's wearing both of us down. I found a reputable sleep consultant online, and I suggested that we give it a try. My wife immediately shut it down. She said that sleep training is unnatural and that she refuses to let our son cry it out. I tried to explain that there are gentle methods we could use, but she wasn't having it. She said that if I push the issue again, she'll leave with the kids and figure it out on her own. That threat hit me hard. I never thought we'd get to a place where she'd threaten to leave. I don't want to lose my family, but I also don't know how much more of this I can take. I've started to dread coming home because I know it's going to be another sleepless night, another argument, another round of being told that I'm not doing enough. It's taking a toll on my mental health, and I'm not sure how to fix it. On top of all this, my performance at work is starting to slip. I've made a few minor mistakes in surgeries, not life-threatening, but enough to make me question whether I should even be operating on such little sleep. I've considered talking to my boss about cutting back on my hours, but that's not a long-term solution. Plus, we rely on my income, and I don't want to put us in a financially precarious situation. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I don't see an easy way out. One thing that's been particularly hard is how isolated I feel. I don't have anyone to talk to about this. My wife is clearly not in a place where she wants to have these discussions, and I don't want to burden my colleagues with my personal issues. I've thought about reaching out to a therapist, but I haven't made the time to do it. Honestly, I'm not even sure if therapy would help, or if it would just be another thing on my already overflowing plate. I know this is a long update, but I wanted to give a full picture of what's been going on. I'm exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally. I love my wife, and I love my kids, but I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. If anyone has any advice or has been in a similar situation, I'd appreciate hearing from you. Right now, I feel like I'm drowning, and I don't know how to get my head above water. Update 2. Okay, I honestly didn't expect to be writing again so soon, but things have taken a pretty drastic turn, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened in the last few days. I don't even know where to start. After my last post, I tried to implement some of the advice that people gave me. A lot of you recommended that I take a more direct approach in setting boundaries and advocating for myself, so I decided to do just that. I knew it was going to be a tough conversation, but I was determined to have it. I needed my wife to understand that this situation was no longer sustainable, and that if things didn't change, it would have serious consequences for both of us, not just emotionally, but practically. I can't keep operating on zero sleep and expect to do my job properly. It's not safe, and it's not fair to my patients. So, I decided to sit down with her again, but this time I made sure to frame the conversation differently. Instead of focusing on how I'm feeling, I tried to approach it from a place of mutual concern. I told her that I'm worried about her health too, that her lack of sleep and constant stress are not good for her, and that I want to find a way for both of us to feel more rested and less overwhelmed. I thought that by framing it this way, it would show her that I'm on her side, that I'm not just complaining about my own struggles, but genuinely concerned about hers as well. To my surprise, she actually seemed receptive at first. She nodded along and agreed that things have been really tough for both of us. I started to feel a glimmer of hope. Maybe we were finally on the same page. I cautiously brought up the idea of me sleeping in a different room again, just for a few nights a week, to see if it helped. I also suggested that we revisit the idea of hiring some help, even if it's just for a few hours during the day so she can get some rest while the kids are taken care of. That's when things took an unexpected turn. She looked at me, dead serious, and said, "You know, I've been thinking a lot about this too. Maybe you should just move out for a while." I was stunned. Move out? That wasn't at all what I was suggesting, and I didn't see this coming. I asked her why she thought that was necessary, and she said that it's clear we're not able to coexist peacefully right now, and maybe some space would help us both figure things out. I tried to clarify that I wasn't asking for space. I just needed sleep, and I thought we could work together to find a solution without resorting to such drastic measures. But she was adamant. She said she's tired of feeling like I'm constantly judging her parenting, that she feels like I'm trying to undermine her decisions when it comes to the kids, and that maybe it would be better if I stayed somewhere else for a while so she can handle things on her own. I didn't know what to say. This was the last thing I expected. I thought we were trying to work towards a solution together, but now it feels like she's pushing me away. I asked her if she's unhappy in our marriage, and she didn't give me a straight answer. She just kept repeating that she feels overwhelmed and that maybe some distance would help us recalibrate. I don't know what to make of that. It feels like there's something deeper going on here, something she's not telling me, but I can't for the life of me figure out what it is. I spent the rest of the night in a fog, trying to process what had just happened. It feels like my world is being turned upside down, and I don't know how we got here. One minute I'm trying to have a conversation about sleep, and the next minute she's telling me to move out. The next day, things were tense. We barely spoke, and I could tell she was avoiding me. I asked her if she was serious about what she said the night before, and she said yes. She thinks it would be good for us to take some space, and that maybe we've both been too focused on our individual struggles to see the bigger picture. She said it would be easier for her to manage the kids without the pressure of me being around, whatever that means. I don't know what to do. I don't want to move out. I want to fix things. But at the same time, I'm starting to wonder if she's right. Maybe we do need space. Maybe we've reached a point where we're so stuck in our own frustrations that we can't see a way forward together. But the thought of being away from my kids, even temporarily, makes my stomach turn. This whole situation has spiraled out of control, and I feel like I'm losing everything. I never imagined that asking for a few nights of sleep could lead to this. Now I'm questioning everything, our marriage, my role as a husband and father, and whether we're even on the same team anymore. I'm not sure what the next step is. Do I agree to move out? Do I push back and try to stay? Is there even a way to fix this, or have we gone too far? I could really use some advice. I feel like I'm on the verge of losing my family, and I don't know how to stop it. Update 3. I don't know how to begin this update. I honestly never thought things would escalate this quickly, and I'm still in shock about what's happened in the last few days. I've tried to take some time to process everything, but I'm still reeling. After my last update, I spent a few days trying to come to terms with the idea that my wife was serious about me moving out. I didn't want to believe it at first. I kept hoping that maybe she'd cool down, and we could have another conversation to work things out. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just about sleep. It felt like we were at a crossroads, and I wasn't sure which path we were going to take. I decided to stay in the house for a few more days to see if things would calm down, but they didn't. In fact, they got worse. We barely spoke, and when we did, it was tense and uncomfortable. The kids could sense something was off, and that only made things harder. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, trying not to say or do anything that would make the situation worse. Then, a few nights ago, something happened that I still can't fully wrap my head around. It was late, probably around midnight, and I was lying in bed, unable to sleep. My wife was still up in the living room, scrolling through her phone, and I could hear our 1-year-old stirring in his crib. I knew it was only a matter of time before he started crying, and she'd hand him off to me, so I got up and went to check on him. Sure enough, he started fussing as soon as I walked into the room. I picked him up and tried to soothe him, but he wasn't having it. He was inconsolable, crying harder and harder until my wife finally came in and took him from me. I felt useless, like no matter what I did, I couldn't calm him down. I went back to bed, exhausted and defeated, and tried to fall asleep. But then, about an hour later, I heard a sound that made my heart stop. It was a loud crash, followed by a scream. I jumped out of bed and ran to the living room, and what I saw made my blood run cold. My wife was standing there holding our son, and the glass coffee table was shattered on the floor. She was shaking, and our son was crying, but thankfully he wasn't hurt. I asked her what happened, and she told me that she had tripped while holding him and accidentally knocked over the table, but the way she said it didn't sit right with me. She seemed more upset than the situation warranted, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something else was going on. I asked her if she was okay, and she broke down. She started crying, saying that she can't do this anymore, that she's overwhelmed, and that she feels like she's losing control. She admitted that she's been struggling with postpartum depression, but didn't want to tell me because she didn't want me to think she was a bad mother. I was stunned. I had no idea she was feeling this way. I knew she was stressed and exhausted, but I didn't realize the depth of her pain. She told me that she's been putting on a brave face for months, trying to keep everything together, but inside she's been falling apart. She said she feels like a failure as a mother and a wife, and that she's been pushing me away because she didn't know how to ask for help. In that moment, everything clicked. All the arguments, the defensiveness, the refusal to accept help, it all made sense. She wasn't angry at me, she was angry at herself. She felt like she had to carry the weight of everything on her own, and it was slowly crushing her. We sat down and had the most honest conversation we've had in years. She opened up about her struggles, and I told her how overwhelmed I've been feeling too. We both cried, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like we were on the same team again. We've decided to seek help, both individually and as a couple. She's going to talk to a therapist about her postpartum depression, and we're going to see a couples counselor together. We're also hiring a part-time nanny to give her some relief during the day, and I'm going to start sleeping in a different room for a while to make sure I'm rested enough for work. It's going to take time to heal from this, and I know we still have a long road ahead of us. But for the first time in months, I feel hopeful. We're finally addressing the root of the problem, and I'm confident that we can come out of this stronger. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to advocate for myself and for my family. I don't know if we would have gotten to this point without your support and advice. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're on the path to recovery, and that's more than I could have hoped for a few weeks ago.